Hi guys, thanks for tuning into my YouTube channel. My name is Catherine and I tell true stories. Today my story is about the funny thing about African funerals. Normally funerals are known to be going to give the last respect to our departed. But kind of the Africans have turned them into something very interesting. I don't know whether to call it funny, weird, or wicked. I think all. So we'll start with number one, the crying committee. You know, in the African funerals, there's a lot of wailing, screaming, crying, and rolling on the floor, on the ground. Unlike the westernized funerals where people are wearing black suits and they're just sobbing with a bit of handkerchiefs and just silent. Some are not even sobbing, they're just silent, sad and silent in black suits. And African funerals are very different. There is something called crying committee. These are people who have either been hired to cry, to make the funeral more lively, or just, what can I call it? Or they've just offered themselves to go and cry to make the bereaved family feel like people really cared for this person. But in reality, when they're heading to the funeral site, they're laughing, they're telling stories and laughing. Oh, last night I had a bit of alcohol and I got drunk, I got home, things like that. Oh, I have to buy this and this for my baby, things like that. And then when they are arriving near the gate of now the funeral venue, they will say, should we start now? Can we start now? Or can we wait a bit? Or should we reach maybe 10 meters before we start wailing? Or should we start now? No, we can start now, And then suddenly they start, they're crying, This is now the crying committee. Their work is just to cry. Imagine. And then another funny thing is they go to the funerals to eat. A stranger unknown to the bereaved or the bereaved family just attends a funeral to eat. As in, there are people who survive on funerals. They will go through obituaries in the newspaper and see which funerals are being carried out around the area. And if it's not so far, they will go there to eat. Because during funerals, bulls are slaughtered, cows are slaughtered, and there is plenty of food because the mourners have to be fed. And some people have taken it upon themselves as if it is their right to be fed. I remember one time there was a guy who went late, arrived late at the funeral, and all the meat had been cleared. He complained the whole week, weeks after the funeral, how he was not remembered, how he was given a skull of the bull while the rest of the flesh had been finished. The guy had to go to the chief of the area to report the matter. They did not keep food for him at the funeral. Imagine. Another reason that some Africans have a funeral is to steal. To steal. As in, some people will go to a funeral to look at the kind of coffin this person is gonna be buried in, to look at the kind of outfit the person is dressed in, Some people have a habit of dressing their corpses in very expensive outfits and even watches. What is a corpse going to do with a watch? To see the time for the resurrection or what? And so the thieves will look at the obituaries in the newspapers and we'll know that this guy is going to be buried in this area. And since the obituary is occupying the whole page or it's big, it means they're very rich. They could afford such a big page in the newspaper. And that means that he must be dressed in very expensive outfits or the coffin must be very expensive. And so they will attend the funeral as if they're part of the family, but in reality, they're just following the proceedings. They want to see where the guy is going to be buried so that at night they dig up the grave and steal the coffin and leave the body there, especially in places where it's unguarded. A guy by the name John Kibira, he's now a pastor. That used to be his profession, stealing coffins, stealing from the dead, taking their watches if they died with any, so they'll be led to resurrect, taking their suits and taking their coffins on top as if that's not enough, and then dumping the corpse back into the grave and burying it again. And others are small thieves at the funeral. While the people are mourning, they're there inside the houses because most of the time during the burial, everybody goes to the graveyard, and this is now the opportunity to go into the house of the bereaved and take small things, petty thieves. Others will come to the funeral to see who is around. And if they see the whole family around and they know where this guy lives, they will now go back to his place to rob him if he has not left anyone there. Because most of the people are relatives around or villagers who know each other. And so they know where you live, how many you are. So if you leave your house empty, this is their opportunity to go and rob you. When you come back from the funeral, you don't have anything in the house. Windows, doors removed. And then others attend funerals to impregnate ladies. You know, now Africans have this thing of dancing at the funerals. Funeral parties. They celebrate the life of a person, so they say. So they dance the whole night before the next day when the person will be buried. And during this dancing all the night, of course, some people are busy with their romance. And that's where most ladies get pregnant, at the discos of the funerals. They call it disco matangas in Swahili. Disco matanga. They dance the whole night in loud speakers, and somebody has died. Then there is some people who just come for that occasion because they will cheat, they're going for a funeral, but in reality they're going to meet their loved ones. And they mess around at the funeral. So this is just the funny bit about the African funerals. So if you like my content, like, share, and subscribe. Ciao!